Hi guys, today's video is going to be a very interesting one. I'm going to be telling you about my paranormal experience that has been going on for the past 8 months. If you don't believe in the paranormal, see it as entertainment. The least negative energy, the better. I feel like people who have been through this will understand what it's like and will want to know my story. And people that haven't been through this might call it bullshit or whatever, but this is my experience and I thought it'd make a great video considering it's like creepy or scary. Like I said, it all started around 8 months ago and it was nothing major. Like, it wasn't a shit going flying in the kitchen or anything like that. It was just like little things, like when you're laid in bed watching TV and you feel like someone's behind you. It was just little shit like that. So it was one of those things where you try and ignore it, because at first I was interested in the paranormal, but I didn't fully believe it, if that makes any sense. And I couldn't explain what was going on. I was just like, well, if there's nothing else that it could be, it's got to be that. I'll start off with the non-scary paranormal experiences. One of the first things that made me realise that this house is haunted was when, I want to say I was 16, 17, and I was home alone, like doing the cleaning, doing everything else, minding my business, and then I was tired, so I was like, okay, I'll take a nap. And I lay down on the sofa watching TV, and I shut my eyes and I was laid under the blanket, and it felt like someone had come and laid next to me, was breathing on the back of my neck and stroking up and down my arm. But it's so strange because when people say paranormal, they usually think of it as a scary experience, but that didn't feel scary. It felt very calming and I wasn't scared. But it was a very strange experience at that. And it wasn't even at night time, that's the weird thing, it was during the day. So it's like one of those things where it shocked me. Another experience that I had was when I was doing the cleaning. I was in the kitchen doing the dishes and I had my hair up like I do now, and it felt like someone had got the back piece of my hair, pulled it out and started going like this with the ends of my hair. And I shot round and was like, what the fuck? Like, my initial reaction was, what the fuck? Like, who is touching me? So I turned round and there was no one there. So I asked my mum and my mate who was round at the time, and they both said, no, we've both been sat in here. So I was like, okay, I'll go back to doing what I'm doing. I carry on, and about 10 minutes later, I feel what feels like a child tugging on the end of my t-shirt, and I look down and there's nothing there. So I carry on doing what I'm doing, and then out the corner of my eye I see what looked like a black shadow run behind me and into the bathroom. So I turned around really quickly to see if anyone was there, because I live with my 2 sisters and my mum, and the bathroom door was shut, so no one could have got in there. So I was just like, okay, like, I guess this is unexplainable. Like, I didn't know what to think, so I just went on with my day. And then at the time, Mum was friends with someone who had a kid, and this child would obviously come sit with me. He'd ask me to play, like the usual shit, right? And he asked if he could stay in my bedroom that night. So I said, okay. And we were sat there watching TV and he had fallen asleep. So I was laid there watching TV and just sitting on my phone going through Instagram, the usual bullshit, you know. And then I see in the pitch black, because for some reason the power in the whole house went out. And I found that really weird because no one else had a power out. We're just like topped up electric, like the usual bullshit. Like it made no sense at all. And I look up and I see what looks like a child up to my hip, which I'm not very tall, I'm only 5'2", but up to my hip, running up and down this wall here, because my bed wasn't here at the time. And I was just like, you know when you're like half asleep but not ready to sleep yet? It was like that. And I was sort of like lay down waiting for the power to come back on. And I thought that my mum's friend's son had got up out of bed and was just playing. So I told him to get back in bed and repeated it 3 or 4 times. And then I realised, because he had leaned over and cuddled up to me, that wasn't him running up and down. And not gonna lie, I fully shit myself. Like, that scared me so bad that my heart was in my stomach. Scared me. So I rang my mum from upstairs and was like, do you know what's going on with the power? And she said, no, I don't. I'm trying to find out what's the problem. And I said, well, I've just seen this, like, what I've just explained to you. And she goes, oh, that's really weird. And then as I told her, the power came back on, which obviously I found extremely strange. And I was like, okay, this bear in mind happened all in the space of like 2 weeks. So I was like, oh, this is really weird, like where's this come from? And then I remembered that me and my sister, we had messed around with the ghost app because we thought it was fake. And I was actually shocked. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then I was like, what have I brought into this house? Right? And that was in February, and literally it's just escalated from there. Like, those were just a few little things compared to what I'm going to tell you now. Basically, I have a thing where I can't have a room be the same layout for too long. So I was bored and was like, I'll move the living room around, right? And obviously I was doing that. My boyfriend was helping me, like we was all calm, all chilled out, yeah. And then as we finished, I sat down, and then I felt such a strange feeling in the pit of my stomach, like something was gonna happen. And I was just like, what the fuck was that, right? Like, why am I having this feeling? I was so confused. I was like, ignore it, right? Denial, yeah. And then as I was sitting down, I felt like what felt like someone stroked the back of my leg. And I was in that much shock that I just froze. And I was like, right, okay, brilliant. And then I sat there and I waited and I waited. And as I was sat there, my foot went, it was such a weird feeling. It was like when you get a dead foot, but the weird thing was I wasn't sat on it, anything like that. I was just sat there, and literally my whole foot went purple and numb and blue, and it travelled up my leg, and I started feeling my whole leg going numb. I just don't know, I didn't know what to think. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna move. I'll sit on the other sofa, right? So I moved, and obviously I was sat there with my boyfriend and my sister, and then I had my cat laid on the sofa, and I was like, oh, he's so cute, my big baby, yeah? So I was like, oh, I'll take a photo of him. I took a photo. My cat laid on the sofa, and what looks like a foot peeking out the bottom of the sofa, which we didn't find the foot in the photo until we zoomed in about 3 days later, because my sister had spotted it. And I was just like, what is that? It's not possible. And the reason it wasn't possible is because we had 2 very large white crate baskets that were filled with cat toys, cleaning products, everything else, right? And I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And even if someone was to put their foot under the sofa, they couldn't have kept their foot flat. You know what I mean? Like their foot would have been at such a dodgy angle, but it was flat, like someone was stood there. And I was just so shocked. I was like, what is this? What the actual fuck? Right? So then I was like, I'm going upstairs. So at the time you had me, a girl that used to stay here with my other sister Chloe, and then you had my sister Kelsey and her best friend Molly, and then my boyfriend. And we all sat in this room, and I've got video evidence of orbs flying around the room, and there is loads of them, like loads of them. And I was just so shocked. And my sister Kelsey, she's very in tune with the sort of spiritual side, or whatever you want to call it, and she had texted me saying, she's here, I can sense her here. And I said, who? She goes, you'll see. I went, okay, she's playing a joke on me, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And my boyfriend was sat on a chair that was here, and you could see his shadow. And then we asked him to move because his shadow didn't look right, and he moved, but the shadow behind him didn't move with him until Molly had screamed and went, what the fuck? In like the loudest voice, and you see the shadow run that way towards the door. And I was just in pure shock. I was like, oh my God, what did we just see? It was just so weird. There's so much strange stuff happening. Like, we was in that bedroom, we swapped bedrooms with my sister, and there's a big walk-in wardrobe with a full-length mirror. During the night we'd hear what sounded like this, like from the inside of the wardrobe, and we just didn't know why it was making that sound. And obviously we've got 3 cats, so we didn't know whether the cats got in there. We'd get up and check every single time, and this would happen like 9-10 times a night, like crazy amount. It's just crazy. Like, we'd have things come off the hangers in the wardrobe during the night, and like the wardrobe would be a complete mess, even though I've just tidied it, went downstairs to do something, came back, and it's shit it. And it's like, I just don't get why that was happening, you know what I mean? There's just so much crazy shit that has happened that I just, like, when people come into the house, they sense it. Like, I had my friend come over not too long ago to do my lash extensions and everything else, and she had said that she saw a girl standing in my bedroom window, but at the time my mum was away and my sisters were away. So it was only me and my boyfriend here, and she came here to do my stuff, and she looked up at the big window. She texted me saying, I'm here. And then I was downstairs putting stuff away in the freezer because we'd just been shopping, and I go and open the door, and she goes, you got downstairs quick. And I went, what do you mean? And she goes, you were just upstairs in the window. I went, no I wasn't, no one was up there. And she goes, are you sure? I went, yeah, no one's here. Why? And she goes, well, I've just seen someone. I was like, oh, it's completely normal sort of thing. I was like, oh, your eyes are probably messing with you sort of thing. And then after I said that, we heard what sounded like a massive bang up here. And at the time, this was my sister's room, and she had a big mirror, and the mirror had fallen over, and literally her whole room looked like it had been trashed. And I was in shock. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And so like I started cleaning it up, picking it up, everything else, yeah. And then I went back downstairs. Everything was, because she was sat there doing my lashes, my nails, my hair, everything else, right? And then all we hear is what sounds like a child running and giggling and playing, like down the stairs. And when someone runs a hand over the banister, it makes like a whoosh sound as they go down. It sounded like someone was going like running and had hold of the banister. And we were so confused because my boyfriend had fallen asleep on the sofa. And obviously me and my friend, we were busy. We weren't upstairs and nothing like that. And we was just in shock. And then like fast forward later on that evening, I got in the shower to wash out my hair dye so she could trim my hair and everything else, right? And my boyfriend and my friend were sat in the living room talking, and they said that they had heard what sounded like someone moving the door handle really, really fast, and like someone was stuck in the bathroom. And my boyfriend came in to check on me, and I hadn't heard it. And I asked him if he was messing with me, and he goes, no, why would I do that? I thought you were stuck in the bathroom. But like, we don't have a lock or anything on there, so it's one of those things where I don't know why I would have done that. And then I came out, and we heard like walking around up here, even though no one was up here. And we were just so confused as to why this was happening. So we sort of just ignored it, went on with what we were doing, minding our business, ordering food, like living our best life. And then she went home, so me and my boyfriend came up to go to bed. And then we heard what sounded like a child giggling. And like up to this point, I'd never seen an apparition, as you want to call it, or anything like that. But you can just sense it. Like, it is horrible. And it's one of those things where it started off really nice and we was all calm, chilled, loving our life. And then it just got really malicious, I want to say, out of nowhere. Like, I've had bruises up and down my body. I've actually got a video somewhere of where my leg, all I'd done was sat on the bed, I was minding my business, watching TV, and then my leg felt like it was burning from the inside out. And it was the most horrible feeling that I've ever felt, and I've had 2nd degree burn from a curling wand. And it felt worse than that. And I just didn't know what to do with myself. So I threw the blanket off my legs, and my legs were red raw. Like someone had scratched the shit out of my legs. And I just didn't know what to do. I was just like, so I just put some aloe vera on it and was like, hope for the best, went back to bed. And I woke up and I had a cut going from my all the way up my shin. And I just didn't know what to do. I was just like, ignore it and hope that it'll go away. And then I went out for a night out, right, with my mate, and I'd come back, and we was all sitting down in my mum's room, chilling. Her room's downstairs. So I came up here to get my phone charger and everything else so we could sit downstairs, chill, do whatever after I'd come back. And I come up the stairs and I see what looks like my sister crying in the bed with her hands like this and her over her legs. And I asked her, I walked towards the door and went, what's wrong? And all I see was the head go up and her eyes go like this, and then I realised that was not my sister. And I've forgotten, because I was so drunk, that she wasn't here. And that was the most gut-wrenching feeling I've ever had. And I ran. Like, skip, hop, jump, flew down them stairs. Like, flew down the stairs. And Mum describes it as literally I had my handbag swinging and my phone charger in the other hand flying down the stairs. And I was just in so much shock. I was shaking, I was nearly crying, and I said to my mum about what happened, and she went, just ignore it, it's fine. And so I ignored it, and then like all the little things are happening again. Like, it subsided for a bit, like it calmed down, it chilled its shit or whatever, and then it's slowly coming back again, and it's just so creepy. And I don't know what to do. Like, my mum has had her arm held back like this and gripped under here, and it's had fingerprint bruises. Whenever we see an apparition, it is a very tall black figure, but when we see it formed as what looks like a human, it is a little girl, which makes me very concerned, because I've heard from a lot of ghost hunters, or whatever you want to call them, like, they say that if it's a demon, that it can change form, and that scares me, like hella scares me. So it's like one of those things where I'm like, I just don't know what to assume anymore. But it's like, that's all that's happened so far. Like, I can do a part 2 or whatever if you want me to, but yeah, that's what's been going on at the minute. Just thought I'd make a good video, you know what I mean. So yeah, thank you for watching.